Well, my first motorcycle was a 1973 Norton 850 Commando. That's where I started riding motorcycles. Enjoyed the bike, but it got pretty spendy, especially when you got such an old bike. It was hard to get parts. Sold that and then turned around and got a 360 Honda and used that for commuting back and forth to work. And then when I sold that one, I decided to take some time off. Had a young family, so sold that bike. And in 2007, after I returned back from Iraq, the wife and I were looking for something for us empty nesters to do when we retire. And we had been talking to my cousin and her husband, and they both had trikes, Goldwing trikes, and we decided, hey, that sounds like pretty good, sounds like a lot of fun. So we went ahead and purchased a 2007 dark orange Goldwing and had a Champion trike kit added to it. And we started doing our touring with that, and that's how we started out. And then we got introduced to a Goldwing chapter here in Fargo, and they kind of taught us how to enjoy, plan, and be safe while riding a motorcycle.
Tell me a little bit about the trip that you're on that the accident happened.
Well, we had been asked by my dad about 12 months ago, prior to the accident, to attend a family reunion in Statesville, North Carolina. So once we decided that we wanted to go, it was going to be at least a 2-week ride. So we started planning our route, knowing that the only set dates we had to get there was get there 2 days prior to leaving for North Carolina, so we can meet friends and family. And then we had to be in North Carolina at least a day prior to the family reunion. That's what my dad wanted to do, because he wanted to show us around and see some of the family history down there. So it took about a good 8 months to really plan it out. It was going to cover 16 states, anywhere from 3,700 to 4,000 miles. So we were pretty excited about it. This wasn't the longest, this was going to be the longest trip we had been on, but it wasn't going to be, our first one. Our first one was to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that's how it got going. It was supposed to be a family reunion, and it started out really good. Weather was cooperating, which was kind of different. I kind of figured we were going to run into a lot more stormy weather. We had prepared for it. We had the rain gear, some cold weather gear, just in case. You just never know when you're on a motorcycle, because you're exposed to the elements. So we had everything packed up, planned. We were left on Friday evening after work, and our goal was to be in Maryland to meet up with my dad and my rest of my family on Tuesday afternoon. And so our trip took us from Minnesota into northern Wisconsin to the UP of Michigan, crossed the Mackinac Bridge down into Michigan, then we crossed over into Ontario, going to Niagara Falls. Had a good time there. Everything was going really good. It was really fun. We were driving along the lake and everything. So
how was it going across the bridge?
For a trike, it wasn't that bad. We had talked with a few people who were on two-wheel motorcycles, and their big concern is the wind, because the wind does pick up around that bridge. So, but for us, it wasn't that much of an issue. So yeah, it was kind of neat riding over that bridge and kind of looking over the sides. And I had the wife taking some pictures as we were going. So she enjoyed it, and we thought it was a pretty neat ride going over that bridge. Then we crossed into Canada. That was kind of a unique experience. Once we got through the checkpoint, it was smooth sailing. I'll tell you what, the Canadian drivers, they drive pretty fast. There was signs all over the place saying fines for this, for going over exceeding the speed limit. So we were staying pretty close to the speed limit, and everybody was passing me so fast, so I kind of speeded up a little bit so I wouldn't get run over. But we got into Niagara and had a nice day there. Got a chance to get around the falls. Once we finished touring there, we headed down to the Flight 93 Memorial in just north of Somerset, Pennsylvania. Pretty humbling experience there. Once we left there, we headed into Maryland, got into Maryland Tuesday afternoon. Everybody was glad to see everybody was there, so it was kind of nice. We got off the bike for a while, so we weren't going to leave until Friday morning to meet up with a cousin in Bedford, Virginia, to tour the World War II memorial there, and then head into Statesville. So Friday morning started out as a hot and muggy day. It was 70 when we got up, and humidity was, I believe, it was like 100% or more, because it was pretty sweaty. Because when I got the bike out and everything, I was just already drenched. So I got the bike out, got the trailer hooked up, did my walk around the bike, make sure everything was working, and everything seemed to be good. My dad showed up, so we were off and ready to go to meet up with my sister in Mount Airy, Maryland. We were going to have breakfast there and proceed into Virginia.
Are you all on bikes, or just you and your wife?
Just my wife and I. My dad was in an SUV, and so was my sister and her husband. They were in an SUV behind us. So we were kind of caravanning there. So we got to Mount Airy, had breakfast, everything going good. Like I said, it was a pretty hot, muggy day. At that point, when we were just getting ready to leave Mount Airy, I had considered taking my jacket off because I was just so hot. But opted to keep it on, and so did my wife.
And how come?
On our trip up to Mount Airy, I seemed to cool off a lot better, and ever since we've been associated with our Gold Wing group, that's one thing they do promote is riding with the gear all the time. So I decided. And
what does that gear do, I guess, is what?
Well, it's all the protective gear, the helmet, the jacket, and it's got the CE armor in it, and it's a mesh which the air is able to go through, so it does cool you down. It's just when you stop, you warm up. So we had the gloves. We had summer gloves that had the mesh on them as well. The only thing we weren't wearing was chaps. We had blue jeans on, and we both had boots. So we were wearing equipment. And like I said, we didn't have the chaps on because we felt that would definitely be hot because the leather doesn't breathe as well. So we started our trip to meet up with my cousin in Virginia. We got back on the Interstate 70. We were going to kind of go around upper part of Maryland and going down into Virginia, the route that my dad was taking us, because he travels it many times going to North Carolina. So we got through a little bit of construction. There was a little bit of traffic, morning traffic. You got to expect that. It was a Friday. Everybody's going to work, and we did go through a construction zone, which didn't pose any problems. It just slowed traffic down. And once we got through the construction, then traffic speeded up again. Got back to the normal fast pace they were doing. So I was following my dad, and we were getting close to our exit. And he had signaled that they were going to have to get over. Plus, he had a CB radio as well, and so we were able to communicate. So we had all merged into the right lane with anticipation getting off at the next exit. That's where things kind of went awry. My dad was following another vehicle in front of him. As we were starting the exit, I was back further. I knew it because I'd on a motorcycle before. That's one thing I like to maintain is a little bit of distance. So as we were making the exit, brake lights come on, which is normal, because there was, as I could see, because as we were curved around like that, I could see in front of the first vehicle there was no traffic there for them to be stopped or backed up or anything like that. So I anticipated the brake lights to come on to slow down, and I had just scanned over my instruments. Everything looked good on the car, as far as my speed and everything. And then I looked up and I noticed my dad and the first car had come to a complete stop, and that kind of set in motion. I was like, okay, what's my course of action here? I could either try to get around them or try to stop. I tried a little bit of both, and neither one of them worked. I ended up colliding into the back end of my dad's SUV, or I should say we did, which threw me to the left and my wife to the right, I did, after I was down, did get up to survey the area because I knew I was in a lane of traffic because I didn't know where my wife was, where the bike was. I just got up. Immediate reaction is, okay, where am I? What's happening? But I noticed once I got up, I had a lot of pain, so I went back down again. And we were fortunate. We had family with us. They were able to kind of help around, checking on us and all that. And the other thing we were fortunate about, some EMTs had just gotten off shift and were behind us, so they were able to respond to the accident, and they were really great. They helped us till the ambulance got there, which wasn't really that long because the ambulance wasn't too far down the road. So, the people that relieved them for their shift had showed up in the ambulance. So they did a really great job on looking us over, making sure we were good, noticing that we had the helmets on. One of the EMTs wasn't commented at how tight the helmets were, and one of the EMTs who was securing my head commented that this is not a football helmet or a sports helmet, this is a motorcycle helmet, and they are designed to be snug on the head. So what they decided to do was they took us to the hospital. I had a emergency room, and that's at that time where I finally found out that there was a truck that had caused the whole chain of events. As the vehicles were leaving the interstate, we were behind them. This individual decided to come off the interstate, cut across the front of them, which caused everybody to slam on brakes, and unfortunately I just was not able to stop. But so I spent 3 days in hospital with cracked ribs and cracked bone in my hand and wrist, extensive bruising from my left hip or waist area down to my knee. So I mean, I was black and purple all along there. Once we got to the emergency room, the doctors were just amazed on how well the equipment had really protected us. I really think that if we wouldn't have had the helmets on, we probably would have impacted the window and probably had a different result. And my wife, she just got bruised up pretty good, and she came out of it pretty good. I mean, we think she may have had a cracked tailbone, but we didn't find out about that till later. But so it was quite an adventure. I can honestly say I really think the safety equipment really did help. I mean, the doctor that tended us at the emergency room, that's all he talked about. You see this? They're wearing the equipment. It helped. And even the doctor that took over after him, after we left the emergency room, he came up and talked about that as well. Because Maryland did have a helmet law, but most of the riders there do not wear anything beyond the helmet. They just wear the helmet because we had seen other riders in Maryland, for example, wearing shorts, flip-flops, short sleeve shirts, and they just don't realize and something like this could happen anytime. And with that Goldwing group, that I have to give them a lot of credit. They taught us on how to ride safely. Granted, it's not going to totally prevent you from getting in an accident. There's going to be some circumstances that are going to be on your control, but wearing the equipment really helped.
My wife's an emergency room nurse, and she says that all the time. Every fatality with motorcycles, she claims, would have lived if they had their helmet on.
Yep.
Okay, you got another trip planned, or are you done riding motorcycle?
Nope. We've actually purchased another Goldwing, and the trike kit should be here any day. We're expecting it here this week, this week's pretty much over, but maybe next week or the week after. So we've talked about it. We kind of said, well, maybe this is time to go to something different, like maybe a convertible. But we just said, no, we enjoy our motorcycle riding and doing our touring on that. So we did get another one. It's a 2012 Ultra Blue and Silver. And like I said,
you got a trip planned?
We are going to finish this trip that we were originally on, but we are going to do a little bit of difference. We're not going to go through Niagara. We're probably going to come down through Ohio, visit some friends there, and then tour the Wright Pat Air Museum, and then go into North Carolina. And my cousin is and his wife. They're both retired. He's retired Army, and his wife is going to retire the first part of next year. So they're going to be meeting us somewhere halfway in between North Dakota and North Carolina, and then we're going to ride together into North Carolina for the family reunion.
How would you answer the question, if a lot of people are watching this in December, drill in second, the timeliness of this video?
As far...
I mean, this should be probably shown in the spring. But I guess what I'm looking for is, well, look, we're going to do a trip down in Arizona this winter, or, you're going to be purchasing things, you're going to be looking at the spring, it's... I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it's never too early to think safety, especially when it comes to motorcycles.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Safety can happen anytime. Even if we were snowbirding, our thoughts is to take our bike south and ride down and tour down there. So safety to me, is needed anytime. It doesn't matter if it's motorcycle or car or whatever. But you can't stress enough that the equipment does work. Yes, I still had some cracked ribs, but we're thinking that what happened is once I hit the back end of my dad's SUV, I probably hit the handlebars in this area here, which probably caused some of the damage. But the bones didn't separate. They've healed up very good. So the armor that we had in our jackets, the helmets, the gloves, the boots over our ankles, were just fantastic.
Stay there and let's go over that. Let's go over the equipment. Take piece by piece and explain some of the things that you...
Okay, well, first, everybody probably recognizes these boots. They're my old combat boots, but I tell you what, they were really good. They're over ankle, which is the main thing, leather. And you can see I did hit the pavement with here, so there was some scraping there, but no other damage to my feet or anything like that. So the main thing you want to look for a boot is leather and over the ankle part. So both my wife and I had similar boots. I'm the one that had combats, but she had some Red Wings, and they did the same thing for her, protected her.
Do you want to talk about a flip-flop? Show that boot again and tell me what you think a flip-flop would have done.
There would have been, I probably would have probably lost a toe or something of that nature. And it's really hard to say how much more damage would have happened if I wasn't wearing a over the ankle boot that protected my feet. So flip-flops, you just can't stress that once you hit that pavement, your skin is going to be gone in milliseconds. And
do you think accidents only happen on long trips?
No, they can happen anywhere. You can, but like I say, most accidents happen within 5-10 miles from your house. So the importance is being prepared for it. Once you get on that bike, you need to be ready for any type of situation that's going to arise, whether it's avoiding the accident or if you do get an accident, you're wearing equipment that is going to prevent it. Some of the other stuff we had, these are my summer gloves that I was wearing that day. They are mesh. They do allow air to flow into them, but as you can see, they're leather. They have protection all over the hands, and they also have a cuff here. My hands never got any damage whatsoever. My wife had similar gloves, and we're not sure what happened on hers, but she had a cut here on her little finger, so we're not sure how that happened or what. But anyway, these are good summer gloves. Any type of leather glove is good for the hand. Some of them do have some little bit of armor in them that helps protect the hand as well. But these are good for summer because they do allow some air circulation in them. Probably the big things is protecting the head. Now this one here is my wife's. These are HGC's modular helmets. Her visor won't work anymore because after the accident it just won't retract anymore. She did have a little bit of scrapage along here, as you can see, and then in the back here is where you can see the most of her damage on her helmet. Now she was knocked out for a while, so she was unconscious for, we're not sure how long. It wasn't very long, didn't seem like. So that's part of the reason why they decided to take her to the emergency room as well. This is my helmet. As you can see, I've got some scrapes here. Most of mine occurred on this side here, which explains why the bruising was on my left leg area here. When I was riding, my face shield was up. However, I was wearing some of the sunglasses I had for Iraq that are ballistic proof. I like riding with those. Because it was so hot, I had my shield open here to allow some airflow in there.
What damage to the SUV from the helmet, if any?
My dad's side on his SUV, where I was looking at trying to get past him on the left-hand side. We did impact his bumper and the lift door for his SUV, which I have pictures on that CD for you. So we're thinking that I probably impacted the back end of the SUV, and then my wife hit me as well. So that's the only thing we could figure out. My sister, who was behind us, everything happened so fast for her. She really didn't. I just kind of blanked out on what exactly happened. But I fell left, and my wife went right. My trailer that we were towing, which was kind of odd because the bike had hit and it was actually on the side. My trailer that we were towing, not a scratch to it. It popped off the hitch and was just sit there in the road. Nothing was happening. So kind of weird.
Jackets?
These are the jackets here. Now these are first gear jackets. We had just bought this jacket for my wife. The EMTs did cut it off because they didn't want to move her. They had to secure it down. These are mesh, and they do have the armor in them as well. In the elbows, shoulder area. They're back here, and they do allow airflow, so they are, good for that. Once you're moving, you can get some airflow through them. They do have reflective stuff in there. I went with the high vis yellow because I want some more visibility. Mine didn't get cut off. It just got pretty dirtied up pretty good, but you can see how here's all my armors up in here, elbows, back, and as you can see, it's mesh inside.
How much do you think all that stuff you just showed me cost?
Well, the funny thing on the helmets, though, we were looking at purchasing new helmets, and the newer version of these were going to cost about $200. These jackets here, I think when I found them online, the cheapest I had found them were running about $169. In my gloves, you can catch them on sale. It can be anywhere from $20 to $40. My boots were a gift from the Guard, I guess.
Small price to pay for your life.
Oh, you bet. I've been doing a lot of research on these helmets, and I found a program that's in England, and it's called SHARP. It's a Safety Helmet Assessment Rating Program. And what they do is they rate full face and the modular type helmets, and that's what I was looking for, something modular that tested the modular helmets. What they rated these helmets, they found that 40% of the time they would stay locked during an impact, which isn't very good when you're thinking about it. Only 40% of the time. So that got me to start thinking about, okay, is this the kind of protection I want? So I was looking at a Scorpion helmet, which only had 68%, or no, that was a 80%. And then I found another helmet that was rated at 100%, plus provided very good protection for around the sides, the back, and up in the forehead area. So we decided to go with the ones that are rated 100%. They will guaranteed to stay locked, but not these type. We went with the Nolan's N90s. They have some of the same features. They're modular. They got the inside sun shield.
If people are watching and saying, wow, it really looks like this guy's informed, he knows what he's doing, he's been through an accident, and wanted to contact you for any information on the different websites and equipment that you look, would you be willing to do that? And if so,
you bet.
Make it known to them that they can call you, where you work, full time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm a contractor out here, and I'm here Monday through Friday. My extension is 155, and I'm available to talk about any of the safety training we've been through and the equipment that we wear. Like I said, our Going group, we do first aid and CPR, crash site management training every year. That's part of our Levels program, which is something we've dedicated ourselves to, is riding safely and having fun doing it. So I've done a lot. I've been doing a lot of research on helmets, the jackets. I've also been looking at the brakes for my trike. I kind of feel that there was some question of whether or not they were working 100%. And I've also been researching some brakes for my trailer. I found a different model out there that actually has electrically controlled brakes, and I think that may have helped in the braking process as well, because they would have helped stop the trailer from pushing us further, because the trailer I have right now does not have any brakes on it at all.
Any, I can edit this so it doesn't really matter, but anything in your past years out here at the Guard, the safety office or motorcycle training or anything that you've gotten from the Guard that you can think of?
Well, I think the Guard has always promoted safety no matter what you're doing. So as you're riding on motorcycles, to help promote, they want you to ride, be visible, wear the equipment, because you're an important asset to the military and to this country. And it's in order for us to be available to do what we do in the military, you got to have the equipment to protect yourself, and so that you can be that person that's here for your country and be able to perform your job. So I can't stress any different than what the military is stressing safety, and plus what our Gold Wing group has continued on with teaching us about safety kind of went hand in hand.